What is something crazy popular that you have no interest in? Just today, an influencer in Melbourne, Australia, with over 500k followers has been caught on a live stream snorting a white powder that was being handed around on a plate at a gathering. This gathering was illegal under current COVID restrictions in Melbourne. Here is the news article that shows the video in question. She has said she is embarrassed and remorseful, and commented on her Instagram, "I am truly and deeply sorry. I hope I can earn your forgiveness and, in time, your trust, Nadia." People like these are fake and so self-absorbed that they don't understand their own reality. People who follow them are just following some weird ideal of what they think is aspirational. I have a friend who was a kid in the 80s in LA area. His neighborhood buddy had a dad who worked in Hollywood effects, and they got a bunch of their friends together and decided they were going to have a gang shootout in the street with toy guns and those exploding blood packs. Someone saw it and called the police, and they roll up guns drawn with this bloody-looking kid laying on the pavement while half of them froze and the other half ran, but the dead one just laid there. His parents went ballistic. Probably good that almost nobody had cameras back then. I have a friend who is an absolutely amazing vocalist. They applied for the voice, and of course you have to jump through so many hoops just to get close to being on. While in an audition, the judges noticed one of their family members was disabled and tried asking them about it. Like, maybe we've got a good sob story here to put violin music over and shit. They refused because it wasn't relevant to, their voice, and they didn't get any further. The preview pic for the video is always the generic surprised look face. They start or finish every sentence with the word guys, and it's always some goofy-ass dude bro. "Hey guys, today we're gonna prank my ethnic friend Jamal." Why him? It's so we get black viewers too, guys. Also, there's going to be one of two female best friends standing around me giggling Tucson nail that female teen demo. Okay guys, so we put Coke in Jamal's Pepsi bottle, and guys, this is gonna be insane guys. Because when he realizes what he's drinking, OMG guys, he's going to lose it. Okay guys, here we go, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more awesome prank vids. I posted this in a bit of thread below, but if anyone is actually interested in what an NFT is and why what you know about them is wrong, NFTs as they've come up in popular media are a fundamentally flawed usage of the technology, a digital, incorruptible representation of ownership. Such ownership of a piece of digital art made for this express purpose, that is widely served and available, completely misses the mark. In an ideal future, NFTs could vastly simplify and reduce the cost of titling and transfer of real property that is normally handled on paper and or digitally insecurely via some government body, and often requires fees from third-party services for handling real estate, cars, business, and also for licensing that is handled in much the same way marriage, drivers, trades. Less idealistically, there's ownership of digital assets in the gaming world that opens up a new avenue of commerce on that side. Small beans compared to the above, but could be a nifty new norm for account item ownership. Most of the early usage of the tech was via digital trading card games built around the cards being NFTs. Tradable on the open market much like physical trading cards. They could further be used as a one-to-one bridge for current traditional assets, stocks, bonds, etc., but there are way better and more efficient solutions for that. Those things are generally fungible, so using a non-fungible construct to represent them is generally silly. From currently being in Las Vegas, I can confidently say Las Vegas. Too many people totally unaware of their surroundings. You get a second-hand high just from walking down the street, and you can't spend more than 3 minutes in any casino without your eyes burning from the cloud of second-hand cigarette smoke. Also, I have never seen so much space dedicated to shopping malls, yet somehow there is literally nothing worth even stopping to look at in any of them, unless you want to drop a couple grand on overpriced wallet. Good news. Somebody somehow gets nearly every IP ever to agree to letting them make a figure in their line. You can get every character you care about in a single consistent scale with common design language. Bad news. The scale and design are unlike anything you would otherwise own and so idiosyncratic as to poorly represent characters' individual traits, and that style makes them bizarre for a child to actually play with. The whole notion of being car broke, I understand in a way. Real estate where I live is crazy expensive. You can't show off what you have by owning a cool house with the white picket fence the way our parents' generation did. So, you get a cool car to show this off. I've seriously seen 5 Series Beamers, Autos, Range Rovers and the like parked in the lot of my crappy apartment parking lot that only offers one beer and studios. Why? Who wants to blow the little they have left after paying rent in this area on a car they're only going to have for a couple of years, then trade it in for another that they're essentially going to rent for 2 more years? My truck is 20 years old now, but it still continues to be damned reliable and it's paid for. My insurance payments are $67 per month. I'd rather put the payment money towards getting out of student loan and credit card debt right now and get those monkeys off my back. I get it. I used to try to get into the TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram mindset, and maybe even to try to become an influencer. I just couldn't get it. Eventually, I realized that to be really successful, I needed to be able to convince myself that each of perhaps tens of thousands of people finds my every action, my every thought, interesting, and impossibly important at some point. However, you reach a developmental age at which you lose your belief that everyone else finds you endlessly fascinating. Unfortunately, once you cross that threshold, you can never really go back. Superhero movies. Edit. To be completely fair, since posting this I remembered one movie that was based on a graphic novel that I really liked. Watchmen. That one was pretty heady and interesting, where the bad guy was basically just the modern world itself. Dr. Manhattan was the only one with, like, unrealistic superpowers, but he was basically a god. I thought his struggle to relate to the rest of humankind and the various aging crime fighters' stories were all very good. As I understand, they changed it quite a bit from the original story, but, having never read the book anyway, I wasn't bothered. But even so, I have no desire to see any more Watchmen movies. Just make one really good thing and move on. I just like using them in a diffuser to make my house smell like a spa or something. Just kind of an air freshener to me. But then there's stuff like eucalyptus. Companies like Vicks has been using that forever for its medicinal purposes, or certain shampoos that have things like tea tree oil for skin benefits. There are other good examples out there, that some of them do indeed have legit applications that people use all the time. I feel like I'm in the majority of this group, where we watch streamers mostly because either they have an entertaining personality or they're extremely skilled at a competitive game. And more importantly, we throw the streams on as background noise for doing something else. I cannot just sit and watch Twitch, and maybe it's some attention disorder, but there always has to be a stream video next to whatever I am doing. After resisting for ages, not understanding the appeal or being motivated to look into it, I finally tried watching a video game stream recently. I went because the streamer is one of my best friends in real life. I know them to be a clever person with a great personality, and they invited me to watch. I checked it out mainly to show my friends some support in their venture. This person and I have been friends for decades. We've watched good and bad movies together, chatted for hours about any number of things, played games together, and I'd probably even enjoy watching them play that same game if I were in the room with them, but the experience of watching the stream was so incredibly dull and aggravating for me. I stuck around for as long as I could, took part in the chat, etc., but really wasn't having a good time. I finally had to nope the hell out of it. That person knows I love them, but it turns out I confirmed my suspicions that this whole form of human entertainment which so many others seem to enjoy right now is just not for me at all. And that's okay, not everything in the world has to be for me. I'm married with kids, but I get this. Mostly as an introvert, relationships are difficult, and if your heart's not in it, well, it's going to be even more difficult, so I can't fault you for choosing to skip it, as long as you're happy. Lots of people don't understand when I say I really don't get what it is to be lonely. I'm not saying I'm hoping to get stuck alone on a desert island, but I certainly don't view my own relationships in the same way others seem to view theirs. I tried to get into it, not gonna lie. I liked a number of the really popular ones but not enough to just watch them. Like I can binge shows or movies, but the animes I've watched were one and done. For me, it's the narration that gets super annoying. They shot my attack down, they will win if I don't do something different. It's like, dude, I know, I just saw you get punched in the face. I don't need the extra narration of your thoughts to understand. The thing about anime is always that people see one, or they know what Dragon Ball Z is and they think it's all the same. It's incredibly diverse, and while some markets dominate like sports or shonen stuff which is specifically targeted at young males 12-18, and while some of that type is pretty good, tons of it is far more interesting and adult-oriented, not porn, than that. I usually find that people who are entirely opposed won't watch Western animated stuff either, except maybe the cartoons they grew up with. It is usually about the stigma, but hey, people are different. If it wasn't for work, I don't think I would have a smartphone. Unfortunately, work basically said you have to have a smartphone enabled in order to log in, but we're also still not going to pay for your smartphone, which is I make enough money, but still I'd drop it if I didn't work in tech. It's kind of weird because everyone thinks I must love the latest gadgets cuz I'm in tech, and I'm all like, why would I want that shit? It's so stupid. I sell it to you, you dummy. I don't buy it for myself. I have respect for the ambition and, as a geek myself, I had fun with it, but I can't deny that it was a little too successful. Now everyone, which isn't a lot since Disney owns half of all entertainment, is trying to emulate the MCU without the proper scope. Bottom line, the MCU changed cinema itself, possibly forever, and I can't help but feel guilty for being a log in that fire. Fake social media activism or virtue signaling, outrage, cancel culture. You can easily spot this by asking them basic questions about their stance. Why do you hate X politician so much? You might ask. Then they'd say, well, X politician is all sorts of ists and phobes. But if you ask them, can you please cite some examples where X politician was an ist or a phobe, they wouldn't be able to tell you even one example. Same goes as to why they like a certain something. Hey, why do you like X thing? They'll answer, I don't know, everybody does. Gaining social approval, being praised, being thought of in a good light of course feels good, and it's normal for humans to want it. But you need to be true to yourself. Don't live a life of lies for the sake of getting other people to like you, because in the end, you're just a stranger they'll quickly forget and not care about after reading or commenting on your online activities. Pretty much all mainstream music, every single song sounds exactly the same, and they're literally designed to get stuck in your head and play on repeat for hours. I feel like not a ton of people realize that the music industry has gone the same way as the gaming industry, where each and every one is meant to make as much money as possible with the least effort. Same with video games. Small indie creators always seem to make better content. I think you're considering K-pop purely from a hardcore fandom perspective. Lots of people enjoy K-pop just for the entertainment factor, and some purely for the music, as it has some genuinely interesting content musically speaking. A large part of the international audience also doesn't understand the lyrics in K-pop, so that stops it being a detractor for a lot of the more mainstream K-pop artists. Most listeners of K-pop are not die-hard stans but just casual listeners like your coworkers, which is essentially the same as in the West, where people listen to pop music because it's just what's available easily to them without having to look too hard. I'll also add that the fact you're a Korean in Korea and using Spotify already makes you an anomaly, since you're not using Melon, for example. In the end, it's just a music industry that happens to really effectively market and merchandise itself to be a full-on hobby for some people, just like powerlifting is a more intense variation of just going to the gym. K-pop can be a more engaging and interactive experience for people who want even more a part of their music listening hobby. After work employee functions, I see UFkers all day. I'm done with you. I do not want to party with you. Team build, the worst. Play a sport, drink beers, or whatever else you're over there planning. I have a family and friends I want to give my time to. Company Christmas party? FCK that. Divide up what you would have spent and give us bonuses. You pay me to do a job, not be your f***ing friend. Expensive hobbies. I'm now surrounded by friends and colleagues who sail, go on golf and ski trips, own boats, fly planes, but I grew up without being to afford much, so all my hobbies are free things. Hiking and walking are some of my favorite activities. I've thought about picking up some new hobbies, but it's hard for me to splurge because I'd rather save and do things that I enjoy and don't cost as much money. Sports, especially football. I don't hate it or anything, just find it completely uninteresting. It's kinda weird to be part of a society that spends so much time watching it, discussing it, playing it, and wants to spend obscene amounts of money on venues, players, ads during games, etc. While I'm pretty sure we can put some of that money, time and effort to a better use, and people look at me like I just grew another head. TikTok, Reels, Shorts and all similar concepts of short videos. The jokes are mostly unfunny. There's unnecessary, obnoxious music in the background. I don't care for people dancing or girls trying to look cute and sad at the same time. YouTube Shorts luckily has a little more depth to it and often doesn't have the music, but why not just watch a full YouTube video then? Modern games. I hate the process of unlocking guns and the flashing loot boxes you have to endlessly open. This actually resulted in me not wanting to buy anything new. I rather look into the past of when games were actually still just games and you had everything straight out of the box. No unlocking, no loot boxes, no premium, just the game. Rap music. I was big into it from 2016-18, but now I listen to the lyrics and it's stupid. I watch my local news and see how many African Americans are involved in gun violence. The stuff they rap about is real, but white people think it's art. It's not progressing their communities, or giving impoverished youth a good role model. They see rich black men in rap with guns and killing people, and think that's the only way to get rich. Look up Crate Challenge shooting. That was in my community. I want to record the daily shootings here and put it on YouTube. It's everyday, man. I feel bad for the kids in our urban city. Hopefully we can have conversations like this without being called racist or Karen. This is a major problem, but it doesn't make the national news. The worst part about it is that if you complain about everyone shoveling politics everywhere it doesn't belong on Reddit, you get the predictable responses of politics are everywhere. You can't hide from it. Don't be ignorant, as if circle jerking over shitty slacktivist memes over Reddit is doing something. I read the news every day directly from the Associated Press and other sources as appropriate. I don't need to hear everything regurgitated into a shitty surface-level hot take and be criticized by people who probably don't even vote for their senators, let alone their local politicians. Today on How It's Made. Avocados. Everyone loves avocados. It's the perfect accompaniment to a variety of foods and cosmetic products. Avocado manufacture is an ancient tradition, improved recently by modern methods and technology. First, a worker loads the flea bomb into the steel press. Each pressed flea bomb is then baked for 15 hours. Soothing music is played to help the pressed flea bomb relax into its final shape during the bake. Now it is time to melt the avocado meat. Only the molemen are able to access the depths of the earth in which the leviathans roam. Slain leviathans are acquired as tribute from the molemen civilization as the source of the avocado meat. Here worker is unloading avocado meat from the molemen tunnel complex. This raw avocado meat still vibrates in resonance to iron. The flea bomb is designed to shield the avocado rays, preventing the accelerated decay of iron-containing products and organisms. Avocado meat must first be tamed before melting. Avocado meat is tamed in this large barrel outfitted for electrostatic shocks. Here we see a master avocado melter wrestling a still sentient hunk of avocado meat that is resisting the melting process. After taming, a master melter combines the avocado fibers into a more recognizable form. Each baked flea bomb is then filled with the melted meat. Because each leviathan has a unique energy signature, Workmen must measure the resonance of each filled flea bomb. Here we see a worker measuring the flea bomb resonance signature with a tuning fork. Pairs of filled flea bomb are matched and modified, then fitted with control sphere to prevent gestation. Once outfitted with a control sphere, avocados can be shipped to supermarkets everywhere. Enjoy your guacamole.